ఇక్కడ అసలు ఎదురుగుండా రామాకు నాకు కెమెరా ముందుకు రా. నువ్వు ఇటు వచ్చేసాయి, ఇంకా ఆ తలిపేసేసి వచ్చేసి. తీసుకెళ్ళి
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
I welcome all the participants, and I request all the participants to please keep your end muted so that we are not going to create any disturbance.
Okay.
Good evening, Priya ma'am. I am Sarah from KL University, Vijayawada.
Good evening.
How are you, ma'am?
Fine.
Madam,
Yeah, ma'am, I'm good,
I
ma'am.
think from your end there is another device very close by. There is an echoing from your end.
No, ma'am, I'm using only laptop, ma'am.
No. I'm talking to my Priya ma'am from VJIT.
Thank you, Priya ma'am. Thank you so much.
Madam, we can start at 6:30 hour.
Okay, so good evening, respected dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, participants, and dear learners. It is my privilege to welcome you all to day 4 of the Faculty Development Program, Reimagining English Language Teaching, Digital Innovation, AI, and Future-Ready Practices. As we commence with this enriching journey, we are delighted to have with us an accomplished academician, researcher, and teacher educator, Dr. O. Kranthi Priya, Assistant Professor and Head of the Department of English at KL University, Hyderabad, who will be enriching us on the topic Automated Assessment Tools. Dr. Priya brings over 8 years of academic experience and holds a PhD in English language education from the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. Her areas of expertise include English language teaching, language testing and assessment, materials development, and teacher education. She is widely appreciated for designing innovative learning experiences that nurture critical thinking, creativity, and essential language and life skills. Her academic accomplishments include editing the Routel Elch publication, Impeding Inquisitions in Humanities and Social Sciences, publishing 9 research papers, organizing 10 professional development programs, and delivering invited lectures at prestigious national and international forums. She has also successfully coordinated a team of 14 resource persons for a teacher training project under the state government of Karnataka and Sarva Siksha Abhiyan, reflecting her commitment to excellence in teacher education. Today's session promises to offer valuable insights into integrating digital innovation and artificial intelligence into English language teaching while using automated assessment tools, preparing educators for the evolving demands of the 21st century classrooms. With great pleasure, I extend a warm welcome to Dr. O. Kranthi Priya. Ma'am, we are very, very honored to have you with us and eagerly look forward to your enlightening session. Ma'am, the virtual platform is all yours now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And thank you, management of VJIT and Priya ma'am for thinking of me for the FDP. And also Sridevi ma'am for the introduction and also connecting with me and all that. really humble thanks, and it's been great to be in association with you all. I would like, should I start the PPT right away, ma'am, because we are running out of time? Okay. Yeah. So shall I share the screen? One second. You're not audible, ma'am. You've muted, I think.
Yes, madam, you can share.
Okay. I'll start sharing the screen instead.
Before we start, I just would like to request all the participants to mute from their end so that we are not going to have any disturbance during the session. Thank you.
So am I audible, and is the PPT clear, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Maybe
So
you
good
have.
evening, everyone. So as you can see, my topic today is automated assessment tools. And this is something very close to me because assessment is an area that I've been working on since MPhil and then PhD also. And we definitely need to rethink what assessment is in the current stage, because AI is everywhere and we are trying to automatize everything. We're going to adapt AI into teaching, learning, and also assessment. So it's become a part of our everyday life. And as teachers, we need to definitely update ourselves and use technology, or specifically AI, in such ways that it is going to make our role more powerful. Like we become more empowered in that way, and help our students be more engaged, and also make assessment more meaningful. So the automated assessment tools are going to focus on much more richer experience of learning, teaching, and also assessment in a way. So I'm not going to completely take you to assessment, but I'll talk about how it's going to impact the learner and how it is going to help the teachers when we use AI tools for assessment. So before going deeper into what kind of tools, or I'm going to give you two examples of tools by the end of the session, where I'll show about one tool, particularly Socrates, that I've used in my classroom. I've used it many times for assessment, and also for teachers how to design rubrics, or what kind of rubrics can be generated using AI. These two as examples I'll show in the end of the session, but right away I'll take you into what actual assessment is and how it can be continuous and also more formative in nature, and then focus on feedback, because this is something, feedback is something that is completely associated with assessment, and it is being neglected, because feedback has real potential to make sure learners understand their problems, overcome their problems, and there's a lot of improvement possible based on feedback only. So how to use AI in feedback, how to use AI for continuous assessment and make it more formative. This will be the entire crux of my presentation. So if you see, I've listed a few objectives that I'm trying to meet through this entire session for the 1 hour. So by the end of the session, I'm hopeful that you'll understand the changing nature of assessment now that it is AI enabled. Earlier, we had more traditional assessments, and then we moved on to little bit different than the traditional pen paper. We started incorporating activities into assessment also. We give them speaking activities, listening activities, and writing also became little more creative, and that way we have moved a little, but still we are still stuck in a way into that mode of assessment, which is still in a way traditional in nature. So how do we move from that, and how it is completely changed into an AI enabled classroom, and how assessment performs in this AI enabled classroom is what I'll try to establish. Also, we need to differentiate between three things which are crucial, or maybe I can say they are the most important things that I need to talk, or we need to discuss when I talk about assessment. Where assessment earlier was off learning, and then it moved to for learning, and now it is as learning. So how is this shift moving from off to for and as? I'll clearly discuss these three stages. And now if we see AI assisted learning, that is completely as learning. So I will talk about how it was off learning and what kind of assessment happened during off learning, where people kind of mugged up, or they remembered things, memorized things, and then wrote, and how it moved towards for learning, where it was pushing learning forward in a way that they focus on not just in end exams but also formative. Now it is completely turned into as learning. So I'll be talking about these three words, that of, for, and as, very clearly. Probably a discussion will be there on these three. And then I'll also look into designing continuous digital assessment strategies and create an AI-supported formative assessment task. This is something I'll talk about when I take an example of Socrates AI I mentioned earlier. So that is a tool that I have used to make exam more formative, more continuous, and also feedback was incorporated properly in that exam. So I'm going to discuss that particular. I can't show because there is a we have this Socrates AI thing in our university, and we have to pay and use it if it is outside university. So I'll show you, I've taken screenshots of how the entire Socrates AI helps. That is one sample only. So each of us can go with different tools. So I'll show you the screenshots and I'll explain how this AI tool has been useful in assessing the learners better, and how it has been useful for the learners in improving themselves also. So screenshots is what I can provide you, because this is not a live thing where I can show you in my college, because I'm out of the college. I can only show you screenshots which I've collected and put in the slide as well. Also, another objective I'm looking at is developing effective feedback strategies. So not only using AI tools such as Socrates AI, but maybe looking at other ways of improving feedback. Now, since everything is on online, and we have exams that are conducted in LMS also, like learning management systems. So in case we are giving feedback to the students, I'll talk about the LMS system that we use. And if in case we are giving feedback through that LMS portal, how do we change the language? How do we make it more impactful when we talk about feedback? This is what I'll be looking into in the later slides. Also, finally, I'll go into exploring automated assessment tools suitable for English language teaching specifically, and critically evaluate ethical concerns around automated assessment. I will not focus on the ethical concerns if there is a time limit, like if we reach around 7 o'clock, because I think ethics in AI is something that we all are familiar with. We know how to control ourselves and make sure we don't go beyond a line and cheat or say plagiarize stuff. So we know that. So in case I have time, I'll touch the last one. But the above points are something that I'm focusing on. That is the current objective of my entire session. Okay. So if you see, I would like to start with this statement. This is not something that I'm asking and you have to answer, but I would like to question yourself on this particular activity when I'm saying, how do you assess? How do you currently assess students? I want you to focus on thinking about what do you do when you plan to assess your students. I know assessment is usually assumed that it is done only when there is a unit test or a midterm test or an end exam test or a lab test or something like that. But no, assessment happens on a daily basis also. We assess our students in the classroom, outside the classroom, in the corridors, when we see them outside. We assess their language as language teachers. Automatically that is inbuilt, where we start assessing them when they ask us a question, some kind of inquiry. We assess them informally. So how do you currently assess students, and at what levels is something I want you to think about before we go into the discussion. Usually in the classroom scenario, in the classroom context, we use Viva, assignments, MCQ questions after reading paragraphs, and presentations or essay, attendance, quiz, peer review. These are the methods that we incorporate when we are within the classroom. But how do you usually assess students, and what kind of assessment guides you in understanding your student is what you need to remember when I'm talking about assessment throughout the slides. And if I'm talking about assessing within the classroom, like Viva assessment, or maybe assignments and MCQs, then what kind of AI is useful? What kind of or how much AI should we bring in so that it does not completely take away the essence of assessment, but also help the learner in improving better? So these are the things that we need to think about before I move on. So that is the reason I thought I'll just pose this question, not as an answer that you need to give me, but in a way to think about in those lines. So why I would say, because we need to rethink assessment. So it is not just act like what is happening right now. We need to rethink the answer that we already have for this current question. So why rethink? Because maybe I'm talking about moving from traditional or normal methods of assessment towards AI. So once we are moving, we have to definitely rethink how we ask the students to make a presentation, how we assess an essay or a writing task that we give them, and how can I incorporate AI now? What can AI automate and do for me? So that rethinking of assessment is what I'm trying to look into at this point. So I'll talk about why rethink assessment only. So earlier, if you see traditional assessment, it used to usually measure memory. So I remember when I was also bringing up my son, I would ask him to mug up the answers. It would be essay answers, or even in social or English, it would be long answers where he would memorize it. And even if one word would go here and there, I would correct him and say, come again, come from the beginning. So earlier it was mostly memory that we were trying to see. How much did he memorize? Not understand. Understanding is not there. I was the teacher, even when I was growing, I remember I used to mug up like most of the times. Understanding would happen, but memory was also a very key source, or a very true way of getting good marks. So earlier it was completely memory measurement, also reproducing what the teacher actually gave us as notes. Any I remember doing that, where I would exactly replicate what was given by the teacher to impress my teacher, so that she thinks every word to word is being given in the answer. And that kind of answers actually fetched complete 10 on 10 marks also. So that was the kind of assessment that we had. And it was mostly one-time performance. How we do in the classroom, what we do outside the classroom, what else did I learn by negotiating with someone or communicating with someone, was never measured. It was mostly one-time performance in the unit test, or quarterly, half-yearly, and NSEP. Right? So that was the kind of assessment that happened traditionally. But nowadays, if you see, that is not the kind of a learner that we are interacting with. The learners that we have now are completely different from what we used to be. So now learners are mostly continuous learners. They're learning continuously. And even if we don't update them, or we don't update ourselves and give them good information, they are updating themselves automatically through use of AI or technology or any other source also. There are so many sources available that students fall into, and they are learning continuously, even though we kind of have we kind of stop them from learning, or we kind of limit them in learning. Also, personalized support is something nowadays learners are more interested into. They are not group learners. They are not like a herd that go with one kind of feedback or one kind of instruction for everybody. Personalized support, they kind of expect that, and any student given personalized support excels better when the teacher observes that this kind of help is required to the student. And these things, if we see, we can't do it in a larger classroom. So how do we personalize support? There's a clear possibility that AI can help us in making learning more personalized, or assessment also for that matter, more personalized. So today's learners focus on continuous learning and personalized support. And the thing that students, or my students specifically, I've seen that they want is immediate feedback. They really want feedback in the form of a written comment, or kind of, sometimes I have students message me and ask me, ma'am, today's presentation, you didn't give me the points on what I need to improve. So any presentation they do, they really want feedback. Even we had that earlier. We wanted feedback, but where was the time? And even now, where is the time to give a feedback on a phone or individually in the classroom? So feedback can be also automatized. Feedback to individual student on their writing performances. Usually feedback can be more productive if it is given to skills that are productive, in the sense for writing and speaking. Listening and reading also, feedback can be made through online AI generated assessment. But AI generated assessment majorly focuses on writing feedback and speaking feedback, because they are more productive skills. So the data given to AI is more clear, based on which they can be given proper feedback. So also authentic performance tasks. Nowadays, I've been through so many task generation. Like, I've looked into so many types of tasks. One kind of a task is not enough. You give a multiple choice, one reading comprehension, fill in the blanks. This was our textbook. These things were what our textbooks entirely had. But nowadays, that is not enough. You give one activity, MCQ, fill in the blanks, and reading comprehension, then it is not enough for the learner. They're more creative. They want more. They strive for more. So what happens with the scenario? Us teachers, we kind of tend to fall into a place where we don't know where to generate these tasks. We don't know how to create so many tasks for so many learners, and some such variation. How do we come up with such variation? This is where again AI is going to help us in creating more and more tasks, not in the same format. Maybe we have quizzes. I think most of you are familiar, since we are attending more of such thing. We have things that we go online, we go to Quizlet, we go to other platforms, so many platforms actually, where you go. In fact, there is also an app where you go play a game and finish your exam. So it's like an exam or a class test also. So these automated authentic performance tasks where they're automated through AI are what today's learners actually look for. That's what will keep their interest. And our motive as teachers is nothing but retaining interest in the classroom, making it more challenging for them, and also making them perform in ways that they do not get bored with. So this is what we have to look into. So when it comes to this kind of why rethink assessment, I think this is what I would like to put. So I'll move on to the slide which talks about this kind of traditional assessment and digital assessment. That is the next one. Yeah. So when it comes to traditional, as I mentioned, more paper and pen tests were conducted earlier. And usually NSEM was the one which would entirely evaluate us and make us feel as if we passed or failed. NSEM was the one. But we had internal assessment also. But more than internal, NSEM was something. These end semester exams, also internal exams, these were the ones, 1 time, 2 time, 3 time exams were the ones which kind of made me or made the student feel he has qualified to the next level or not. So also traditional methods had teacher marks. Teacher was the one evaluating, and when a teacher evaluates, there's so many factors that come into place. There are teacher reliability issues, teacher validity issues also. What do I mean by teacher reliability issues? We cannot think about any classroom where the teacher has given an assessment score which is exactly correctly. Like for example, when I talk about teacher validity or reliability in that matter, it implies, suppose there is a test conducted and the test script or the answer script is given to 3-4 teachers, and all 3-4 give the exact number of marks. When that kind of a test is done, that kind of marking is done, we say that that particular test is very good in terms of its validity, and it is reliable. So this reliability issue where the same score will be given even if another teacher steps in is under question when it comes to teachers giving marks to students. Not that I'm not saying we do tend to give unnecessarily more or less, but it changes our assessment of the paper, of the product that they have given us, our assessment of knowing who the student was, their previous performances, their attitudes, all these things kind of maybe 1% also carries on to the paper, and maybe we may assess students differently because we know them. And also if this same assessment is given to another teacher, maybe they'll do it differently. So that same number of marks to all this to a particular student or all the students, if many teachers assess is happening, if that kind of assessment happens, that is called a reliable test. So how far is a test reliable when it comes to teacher marking the test is always been a question. There are studies that are conducted to check rater reliability or teacher reliability when it comes to assigning marks, so, which is earlier, the scenario was earlier. Okay. Also delayed feedback. How many teachers get the chance, though there is a willingness? I know many students need feedback and many teachers actually want to provide feedback, but how many teachers are capable or in the given time frame are able to give feedback to these learners and tell that, okay, you've done this great, but don't you think this is what is required? Why don't you work on so and so element in grammar? Your tense is very bad, you need to work on this. Maybe you can refer to these kind of activities. How much feedback can you really give to individual student? So either giving is impossible, giving detailed feedback is impossible if it's a larger classroom, and even if we want to give, by the time you reach all students, maybe it's too delayed, maybe the feedback is not relevant anymore. So in that case, it is not going to be effective. So traditional feedback, traditional methods, again, delayed feedback is a very big minus, I would say, if at all we talk about the traditional method of. And also we had assessments that were mostly like one size fits all. Like one exam would assess everybody, the smartest in the class and the slow learner also. So this would be a real problem. And how the solution is not, I'm not saying that it should be a different exam for all the students. It should be, if 60 students are there, 60 question papers need to be given. But what if there is an online platform where we upload multiple questions, and depending on the first, second, third answer they give, the fourth answer is again a little bit different, the fifth is again a little bit different. So this is there in LinguaSkill. If you see earlier, actually, this is there in high stakes assessment, where this answers that you provide, AI assesses the answers that you give for 1 to 10 questions. And if your answers are excellent, then AI gives you 11 to 20 questions are more difficult, so that it puts you on a higher band in the CEFR scale. if your answers in 1 to 10 are average, then the next 11 to 20 are also not in the C2 level or a C1 level in the CFR scale. It falls into B1 level. So it will again change. So multiple questions given to the AI makes an effort where the students are assessed based on their level. So this kind of assessment, I'm not saying is suitable for end semester or in semester, but it can be part of a regular formative assessment which we do in the classroom. So if we can come with assessments which is not one size fits all but more personalized, and that is something we can actually help a learner who is at level A reach level B, and who is already at level B reaches level C. So that kind of growth in their this thing. So it's like X+1 is the growth that we'll be aiming for when we focus that assessment becomes more personalized. So this is what we need to see. So from paper test, we have to move to online quizzes, and from end semester to continuous, and so on and so forth. So in this context, if you see, I just want to talk about this personalized assessment and everything, but I'll go to feedback and then, sorry, I'll go to the type of assessment and then go to feedback and all. So coming to for assessment of learning, this is something I have mentioned earlier also. So coming to assessment of learning, for learning, and as learning, these are types of assessment that we had earlier, we have moved to, and we are going to see in the future. So assessment of learning measures learning, for learning improves learning, and as learning empowers the learner to understand their own learning, monitor their progress, improve from where they are to the next level. So think of it this way, that off is like a judge learning, where you're judging how much they have memorized, how much they have understood. Whereas for learning is like a guiding force, like, okay, this is happening for learning, so from here, what do you do? But as learning is where learners manage their own learning. So we're making them more autonomous in a way. We're making them more independent in a way. So that is what the focus should be. So when I talk about assessment, I could not leave mentioning of, for, and as. That is the reason I have put this slide. But also, if you see, I'm going to give you, I'll do one thing. I'll just show the next slide, which will make it more interesting, because for 3 categories, I've talked about the purpose, timing, main user, who is the main user, then feedback, how is it usually done, stakes, also focus and example. So if you see, the purpose of learning is always measuring achievement, whereas for learning is improving learning, and assessment as learning is self-development. So if you see feedback here, usually it is after grading, and for learning is immediate and constructive. So they get the feedback immediately and it's more constructive. But if you see assessment as learning, it is self-reflection. So while doing the exam also, they can improve. So I'll give you an example of this particular feedback for and as learning in the tool that I've mentioned. Also, if you see, the main user here in assessment of learning is teacher, where they take it for grading them to pass them to move to the next level. And whereas for learning is especially for the teacher and the student, and as learning happens completely for the student, which should be the actual goal for that example. Okay, so if you see examples, final exam, drafting an essay with feedback in learning journal could be as learning. Okay, so this is something I wanted to discuss before moving on to formative and continuous. So if you keep this idea in your mind, this is what we are trying to say, where we need to move towards as learning. And when we move towards as learning, assessment automatically becomes formative in nature. And there's a kind of continuity on how you assess the child. Growth is also continuous and improvement is also continuous. So that is the reason I'll be moving to continuous and formative assessment here. So if you see continuous and formative assessment, I'm referring to these two because any assessment, I think it started with CC in the beginning when we started implementing CC in schools also, continuous and comprehensive assessment. But earlier to CC also, we had a concept of formative assessment and continuous assessment. But it was given little more force after implementing CC in 2009. It was initiated, and but 2012, I think it got into force and many schools implemented. However, it did not work in the bigger, larger classroom context in India. So it was trashed again in 2019, around 19 and 20, because proper training and other factors were there. But if you see assessment, when it becomes continuous and it is formative, is the most powerful kind of assessment that one teacher can have in her hands. So continuous assessment, I'm going to talk about continuous and formative clearly, and then move on to talking about feedback and so on. Okay, so continuous is something that is ongoing, which is continuing from one point to another. So beginning of the semester to the middle of the semester, the end of the semester, or the entire year for that matter. And it is an ongoing process of collecting evidences of students' learning throughout the course. So when I'm talking about collecting evidences, I'm observing a learner's progress from the beginning of the semester, how they improve, it is recorded properly, and then how the learning throughout the course is happening. If you can, like as teachers, if we can collect information and provide proof of that information, document it properly, and see the progress, that is where students are going to benefit more, or they're going to learn more meaningfully. This is what even CC, continuous comprehensive evaluation, tried to do in the Indian school system, but there were other features, other factors actually that didn't let it work. But this is what continuous assessment means. So it should be ongoing, it should be like regular, planned, and also it has to have multiple assessment opportunities, not just midterm and end term. It needs to have every week assessment, informal assessment, inside the classroom assessment, outside. So there has to be multiple levels of assessment and overall individual 360-degree assessment for the student. Only then it becomes continuous. And what it focuses on is monitoring learning regularly and identifying the gaps that we have in the learning, and provide more opportunities of improvement, and then support learning throughout the semester. So this is what the focus would be. Now I'll move to formative assessment after I discuss continuous assessment. Yeah. So formative assessment is the assessment that is conducted during the learning process, not in the end of the semester, not after the end of the entire course or anything. It is during, which is needed to improve learning. So why am I talking about continuous and formative? I'll come to that, but let me ask three questions here, like in terms of what is the most important thing in the formative assessment. The primary purpose of to provide feedback. So we need to understand what they have learned, why they need to improve, and how they can improve whenever we talk about formative assessment. So the reason to talk about continuous and formative assessment is, when I talk about shifting assessment from being traditional to an AI assisted assessment, we have to understand the nature of continuous and formative assessment, so that with the help of AI, we make all assessments continuous and formative. As long as we achieve the assessment to be, we achieve the point where assessment turns out to be continuous and formative, it is going to be a more useful assessment. And to do that, to make an assessment continuous and formative, like earlier the CC failed, not to fail again, we better use tools such as AI. So that is where incorporating AI into assessment happens. That is where our goal for making it continuous and formative happens. If that is achieved, that is a proper assessment that we are talking about using automated assessment or AI assessments. Okay, so when we talk about moving towards that, this is the main crux that you needed to. So that is the reason I put these two, though they are not talking about AI assessment. So this is again a slide to sum up the earlier two things. Refers to when assessment happens, and this refers to why it happens. Conducted throughout the course, this is to improve learning. So this is just a comparison between what is continuous and what is formative, which we already discussed. So I'll just move from this slide to the next one. But if you want to take a look, I'll leave it for 1 minute. Anyway, I think I can share the PPT later. It can come to you all also. I'll just move to the next slide. So with the understanding of what is continuous and what is formative assessment, we need to talk about how we can create an AI assessment which is continuous and formative in nature. So the goal here is creating an assessment using AI that is continuous and formative. Okay, so that is what my discussion from here will start, where I'm talking about creating AI supported continuous formative assessment tasks. So in order to create such an assessment, which is continuous and formative, we need to have few things in our mind before approaching any AI tool or adapting any AI tool into the classroom. We need to understand what goes into creating an AI supported classroom. So an effective AI supportive formative or continuous assessment, it should be conducted during the learning period only, within the semester time, not at the end of the semester or not at middle intervals. It should go on throughout the semester, which is conducted during the classroom hours where learning is happening. It's not a separate test we create. It is during the class hours where we are teaching them, we also assess them. And it needs to be low stakes, where students do not follow a certain, not like serious MSET exam or an IELTS exam, it should be easy for the students to access and also attempt and complete the task. It should be feedback oriented. This is a very important point. Any kind of formative assessment or continuous formative assessment has to be feedback oriented. If you do not provide proper feedback, it cannot be formative in nature. It will not have an impact on the learner and future learning. It needs to be interactive as well. Here, interactive, if I'm moving towards AI supported learning, interactive does not mean me and the student. It has to be interactive with the AI that we are using. So the AI is going to talk to the student during the assessment, or AI is going to talk to the student after the assessment. So it needs to be interactive between the learner attempting the exam and the AI tool that they are using. Also, it needs to be student centered. Most of them are anyway, and also focused on improvement rather than grading. Here, the focus is not about giving A plus or B plus or 80%, 70%. This is not the goal. The goal is looking into how they are improving. In the sense, if I talk about assessment and evaluation, I think I have to mention CEFR again. CEFR is Common European Framework reference, where it is a complete assessment rubric is provided, where students are assessed on bands. Bands meaning A1 being the least band, where they are having only basic skills. A2 is little better English. B1 is again good English, which is around maybe a intermediate level or something. B2 is intermediate and little above. C1 is most proficient, and C2 is like a native speaker level of language. So these bands are already provided by CEFR, which is common for all speakers of English throughout the world. So when I talk about focusing on improvement rather than grading, it is not about saying, okay, he's at B level, he is C level. It is about saying, okay, he was at B level, B1 level, now he's moving to B2 level. So the growth, the improvement needs to be monitored or recorded. If an AI assessment or an assessment with the support of AI can do that, then it is continuous and formative nature. So also supported for AI for efficiency and personalization. Personalization and efficiency, definitely, because when you ask AI to be, or when you aim AI to incorporate into your exam, you want it into your exam, unless you make it more personalized for the learner, it is not going to be interesting for them, and maybe they'll find ways or means into not doing it with proper attention or proper sincerity. So these are things that we need to keep in mind when I talk about using AI to support your assessment, to make it continuous and formative. So in this context, if you see, creating that, the same discussion that I made, I just put into a slide here. So we need to think about what the learner objective is and then design the task. So make it, we have to conduct during learning and make it available for the student only, then design the task. Then students complete the task and AI provides the feedback. So this is how I'm going anyway. So this is the characteristics, and how to do is what this talks about. And then students complete the task. AI provides immediate feedback. Teachers reviews and guides the students, and then students can improvise or revise and improve their own performance. So if this kind of flow or growth is, or kind of these kind of steps are planned, then using AI, then automatically it becomes more effective. I have 20 minutes, right? Okay. So I'll go to the next slide. So this is what I would like to refer to. Once you look at this, this is, I'm taking you towards a model or a 5D model of designing this kind of formative, or this kind of formative continuous formative assessment. So when I talk about this one, this is like a 5D model that I'm going to discuss. So if I say I'm going to design my assessment and I want it to be continuous formative, and I want it to be a digital assessment, which is a AI assisted assessment, then I need to think about 5 stages or steps that I need to go into. So first I need to define what I want. What is the outcome that I'm expecting out of the student? So I'm going to define. D1 is my first D model, or the first design model is defining, where I define what my learners' expectations and outcomes should be, and what should they learn. If I'm talking about learning, maybe if I focus on writing skills, so what am I teaching in terms of writing skills? Am I teaching them argumentative writing? Am I teaching them critical thinking and writing critically? So what is that I'm asking them to do? So define your own structure or your own way of looking at what is the outcome and what do the students actually need to learn at this level. Once you have that, divide. D2 is divide. When I'm talking about break your definition of this outcome, what I talked about learning outcomes and what they should do. Divide it, break it into 2-3 parts or milestones. So you can't say I'm going to teach argumentative writing and start and give chalo, you take the quiz or you take the instructions and write an argumentative essay on so and so. It has to be broken down into bits and pieces, conducted in a multiple stages, into the different stages. And also assessment should be in different stages. For that, you have to decide about the kind of AI tools you need, where first level could be they write a paragraph normally, and then second AI tool could be something they use to develop an argument, and then third can be where they are bringing out their entire arguments. Okay, so that is how you develop slowly. So break down the milestones. So in case you want to start a AI assessment, then you have to define, divide, and then digitize. Now you know, once we understand what is to be done, or how many tasks are to be given, or what is to be done in the how many assessments are to be done, then we select our AI tool. That is where we start looking into what kind of tools are available, which tool is better to make them write a basic paragraph, which tool should I go to write an argumentative paragraph, or which tool is better to write a maybe a critical essay. So when I talk about dividing, once you divide, you pick your AI tools based on that division. So here technology best supports each task is what you need to check. So maybe to understand argumentative essay, maybe I'll give them a sample, an argumentative essay sample to them, and ask them to look at the sample, look at the essay, and highlight a few features where it feels it is argumentative. So if I'm doing that, it is not a writing task actually. It is a reading task. They're reading an argumentative essay, and then they're going to answer wherever the argument has been brought out by the author. So in that case, I need a reading tool, AI tool. So that's the first level of breaking what an argumentative essay is. For that, I'll choose a tool which talks about AI. So which is an AI tool and talks about reading and answering the questions. In that case, maybe I'll use something like, or maybe I can conduct a quiz also. They read the essay and then I put an AI platform. Maybe I can use Quizlet or Kahoot also we can use, and we can ask the students to answer together to each other also. If I'm doing something like that, then I might go with Kahoot. So if I'm using Kahoot, then automatically students know each other's answers and they're going to see, okay, she got the better answer, I have this answer, this kind of. So I'm selecting my tool based on how I broke down my assignment, my learning outcome, and which tool will go where. If I'm doing that, which kind of technology is best is what we need to analyze and then go with that kind of technology. Okay, so when it comes to the fourth stage of D, which is D4, once you select your particular AI tool, you run the tool, you conduct that kind of activity or say test, then you go with collecting the evidence, their performances, what they have answered, how they have answered, why did they answer so and so questions. So what kind of learning evidence will the students have when they do an activity with the AI tool. So this is done. Once that is done, you will then move to developing proper assessment task, which is where you provide feedback for improvement, and how you will know how feedback will help students progress into the next level. So if you can understand this 5D model where you're talking about selecting an AI tool, but to select that AI tool, you need to understand the learning outcome, then break the tool into the outcome into multiple parts, and then select each tool suitable for that level. Writing task can have a reading activity, speaking task can have a listening activity, or a reading activity can have a listening file. So anything, or a writing task can have a reading file. Okay, anything, you need to have multiple skills there. That kind of selection, and then you decide on that and then select your particular tool, and then you go into seeing what or how they have performed and then provide automated feedback. Here I'll talk about feedback again. I'll come back to that, not that I'm leaving about feedback. So this is how you would actually go. So when I talk about automated assessment tools, we usually use AI to assess. When I talk about using AI, not non-AI, so usually use AI in the classroom. This is from my own experience also. I've used it for reading, writing, vocabulary activities, definitely, grammar, pronunciation, participation, speaking activity also, where they upload the file and everything, reflection activities, and digital portfolios. These are things that I have particularly used in the classroom, AI tools to do these activities. Like for example, grammar, we have many tools again. Maybe in terms of speaking, we have maybe Perplexity is a very famous AI platform. Perplexity is a very good way of finding out how students speak. One of my scholars is actually using this in their thesis, also in their research, where they have used the Perplexity tool to or the platform to make the students speak on a certain topic, and or give answers to particular set questions. And then whatever the students spoke, we can ask Perplexity again, give a prompt where it talks about how did I perform, and you can ask it to give in a proper CFR level or in a proper rubric. It'll give you a proper feedback which talks about how you have performed in the speaking activity. Even for reflection, there are tools where you can use, where you write the essay and then you reflect on it and rewrite it. This part also is part of Socrates AI, which I'll show you. And these are things that we have access. I'm sure many of you are already doing reading, writing, grammar, vocabulary using AI tools if you are interested. And there are many more tools that actually help us in this. I'll give you a list of few tools here. And there is one slide, if possible, I'll show you in this end, which you can take a screenshot of, which has all the tools together. Okay, so I'm talking about 4 cases here. Sorry, I mentioned scenario 3 twice. Really sorry for that. So I'm talking about 4 scenarios or case studies here. I'm going to talk about this and then connect it with our real life experiences, also our daily teaching experiences. And then I'll talk about how you can do this if it is an AI tool, which is more effective or not. So please understand 4 scenarios, and I'll move on to discussing scenarios based on how it is to be. Maybe the challenge, how we address the challenge. So scenario 1, or you can assume 1 out of these 4 if you are more convenient with assuming 1 only. So I'm giving you 4 scenarios, pick whichever you want. So scenario 1 is where students submit 80 essays every week. So it's an essay writing or writing course is there where they submit 80 essays every week. So how can automated assessment reduce workload? So you need to think about a place or a course where 80 essays are submitted by all your 80 students, and you need to assess everybody. So how do you automate this kind of assessment, and how can you reduce your workload for this kind of assessment? Okay, this is one. Imagine yourself in one of these scenarios. So scenario 2 could be where students rarely participate in discussions. This is something we all face. I think scenario 2 is the most common one. Students rarely participate in discussions. Now we have to think about designing an AI supported formative assessment for this. Similarly, I'll talk about scenario 3. If you're comfortable with scenario 2, keep it, or we'll move to scenario 3 also. So scenario 3, if you see, students copy assignments from ChatGPT. This is again happening in most of our colleges. Most of our students go with shortcuts where they copy assignments. Now the question again for me will be, how should assessment be redesigned so that the copy part is again clear and we know how to grade a copied assignment, or how to assess someone who's copying and producing maybe an altered one or something. This is again a third scenario. Fourth scenario, if you see, students have different proficiency levels. These are things that we already face in our classes, but just look at the questions. So if they have different proficiency levels, which happens regularly in a classroom, how do AI personalize assessment? How do we answer these questions? How do we address these scenarios and overcome these challenges? So to talk about this, I have this small table that I have given here. I'll try to take your answers, or maybe I'll try to give answers here only, and then maybe I'll give you the final. I've typed these answers, but I thought if it is possible, we can interact and take the answers. But since we have only 14 to 15 minutes, I'll go with the answers right away. So when you talk about problems for scenario 1, I talked about too many essays to grade. So automatically, a tool like Grammarly or ChatGPT is what I'll put this and show you. So first one, again, a problem is too many answers, too many things to grade. Tool could be ChatGPT or Grammarly, because 80 essays you can simply upload and talk about it. Assessment strategy here, you can talk about maybe AI gives the feedback, and then you look at the feedback. And what could be the problem here? Maybe we kind of depend more on AI in this case. This is one problem that we can think of. And when it comes to scenario 2, where students rarely participate in discussions, I think that is nothing but problem here is there is no participation from the student. And for such kind of no participation problems, if you're using an AI tool, I would suggest Padlet is there, or Mentimeter is also there. So Padlet worked really good for students who don't speak, because it will not make them feel more conscious about speaking in front of a class or in front of a teacher. Padlet can be more if you have used Padlet, I wish I could show you each of these tools, but if you want, just go and check on Padlet and see how an speaking activity can be done on a Padlet platform, AI tool, using that tool. It is really effective when it comes to Padlet, because students do not feel fear or inhibition when they want to talk. So usually this talks about discussing in the online platform only, and students are asked to reflect on their own answers. This is what happens, the assessment happens in this case. So third scenario, if you see, is students copy assignments. I think students can submit, they're submitting the Xerox copy, or the copy paste is being done by the students. Here, I think we all know that Turnitin is one way of looking at their ChatGPT answers. And also, if not ChatGPT, also you can use to make an assessment, or the tool that you can use. So here, the solution or the assessment that can be done is giving an oral presentation than submitting the copied version. And coming to scenario 4, which is mentioned on 3 here, I'm really sorry for that. Students have different proficiency levels. How do I change it? So mixed proficiency is what is the problem. And for it, I think quizzes is one. Different proficiency levels, you can definitely upload multiple questions in quizzes, the AI tool, and you can ask quizzes to customize, or you can customize it in such a way that the first, as I told you earlier, depending on half of the answers, the next answers will pop. So depending on how they have answered, the next questions will come to them. If they do not understand the questions in 10 to 20 or 20 to 30, they're failing there, the next questions will not appear for them. Something easier will appear. So this is possible in quizzes AI, not the quizzes general. So you can use quizzes AI to personalize each assessment that happens in the classroom. So the problem here is uploading too many tasks or different levels of tasks here, because you can't put 50 questions and say, Shallow, let me do personalized feedback. No, you have to give 50 questions plus level 1, level 2, level 3. Make sure they're all placed at different levels, segregate them and upload in quizzes. This is one thing you can do. So if you see, I've listed what I just spoke here. So this is one, you can either take a screenshot, or I'll be sharing the PPT. I have no issue with that. So this is what I was talking about for particularly scenario 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the tools that you can use, and the assessment type or strategy that you can actually go with. Okay, so in case you're taking a screenshot, I'm going to leave you there for a minute. Yeah. So next part, if you see if this is clear, I'll move on to something which is moving towards feedback. But again, I need to discuss about why we need to have, or why we need to think about feedback. Okay. So once you have this, I'll just move to the next part, which is on feedback. Oh, sorry. Yeah, before feedback, I have one more slide. Can I help? So since I'm talking about using AI tools like Grammarly, ChatGPT, Padlet, Turnitin, and so on, so quizzes on, can they really help us? Can they really help teachers? How? It generates rubric comments. I'll show you one rubric that I've downloaded and brought it for you. So definitely rubric comments are the easiest. I've done this. This is a rubric comment I'll be showing from a recent course I've done on Canvas. So rubric comments are generated within a second and suggests grammar improvements, summarizes trends, identifies errors, or any kind of there is learner progress happening. So all these are done. But as teachers, even though AI will be doing all these, as teachers, we should still look at how they are interpreting language learning, how we have to see how the growth is happening, understand their emotions also, provide encouragement, and also make feedback more contextualized for them, make it more meaningful for them, and exercise professional judgment. So even though I'm asking about how can AI help us, it will definitely help us in making better rubrics, better grammar improvements, and identifying errors and all that. But as teachers, we still need to pitch into this process and make it more effective. So direct AI will definitely not help them. Our intervention into using AI properly for the assessment of the learners is what is going to be more useful. Okay, so in case of providing differential feedback, if I'm talking about, I'll move to feedback right away because we are running out of time. as we know, traditional feedback is good. It is very good. It needs improvement. This is what we give. When I write in a answer script or anything, we mention needs improvement. Marks, we put a marks. Either it's a late submission, it is a more generic answer. These are the kinds of traditional feedback that we usually give to students. Usually, we are also like I used to enjoy adding stars and smileys also. So this is kind of feedback that we usually go with when I'm talking about. But what should feedback do? Is this enough? What do we need to do? So feedback needs to talk about where is the learner, like this is what we need to do. So where am I, what am I doing, and how should I improve? Learner should understand these three questions. Okay, learner should answer these three questions when you give a particular feedback to the student. Where am I, how am I doing, and what should I improve? And hence the feedback that we provide needs to be more specific, timely, actionable, personalized, constructive, and dialogic. What do I mean by specific? To the context, like it needs to be more no, you can't go elaborate feedback where it is talking about everything. It has to be specific to the exam or the point of error that they have made. It should be immediate in terms of time, and it should be something they can work on, doable, and particularly to that particular candidate that is looking at the feedback, and constructive. Never go with, we cannot go with something which is a negative comment. And also it should be negotiable, dialogic in nature. Okay. And to write feedback, if you see, I'm talking about feedback here which is original, and improved feedback is where I'm using AI to give the comment. So this is a table where I've included 5 feedback comments that we usually write as teachers. And if I want to change this, I've used AI tool to improve this feedback and write a better one. So maybe we won't have time to write the improved feedback every day or to every student. So we can use particular tools to give this improved feedback also. So instead of saying your essay is average, we need to elaborate on it. We need to talk about it more clearly. Not that is a very general statement. It is average. What do we mean by average? So that's a very general statement. Or your grammar is poor. What aspect of grammar is poor? What is the point that they need to improve? Which is better, which is not better? So this is again we need to look into. Same way, if you see, these 5 comments are very basic, very general, and not very clear about what they need to do to improve. Right? So instead of saying your essay is average, maybe we can talk about how they have organized it, how to change the argument, how to maybe give an example, give a more evidence here, or maybe before submitting do this, why can't you add this element? So the kind of comments you do here, that kind of improved feedback is what is going to be making it more effective. Similarly, for your grammar is poor, you can instead of saying grammar is poor, mention which tense is problematic, or are they having problems with superlative degrees, or what kind of problem in the grammar or subject verb is not correct. What kind of problem is there? You need to address that also. Then only the feedback is going to go to. And if you see, for you need to improve your vocabulary. How do they improve vocabulary? You just mentioned you need to improve vocabulary in a speaking activity. How do they improve? Give them tips on how to do that. So improved feedback is what I'm bringing from AI, and this is what we generally do. Look at the tool that has given me better comment. I've given these 5 prompts and asked it to give me improved feedback. So this is what it has given me. So if you see a good presentation, you spoke confidently and maintained good eye contact with the audience. To make your presentation even stronger, slow down your pace slightly and include more examples to support your main points. This is a comment feedback given by AI. Okay, there are errors. If you go to Perplexity also, this comment has come. Okay, this is from Perplexity that I've taken, where it is an interaction with the AI automated robot that you do a good presentation or you talk about something. So it gives you on your body language, how you have maintained your eye contact, everything was given to the students. Okay, similarly, if you see, read the passage again, you identified the main idea currently. I'll show you this kind of comment where I've got this similar comment is given in Socrates. I'll show you where the improved feedback has been given. Okay, I'll give you a sample of that in Socrates. So it gave the student, I would usually say read the paragraph again or the passage again. Maybe I'll add one more sentence which is not very detailed. But if you see the AI generated feedback, you identified the main idea correctly, but some supporting details were missed. Read paragraph 3 and 4 again and highlight evidence that explains the author's argument before answering the remaining questions. So it has given him a clear instruction, the student a clear instruction. Where did you not identify? What happened? Read these 2, analyze these 2, then understand the argument given by the author and then answer the question. You'll get the right answer. If you see that kind of a clear comment is something that really helps the student, because they might skip a certain passage or a line or point, and this is where they go back to the text, read again, and give a better answer. So they're improving automatically by looking at the comments. Okay, so this is what I was trying to say. Our feedback, original feedback that we usually give, is definitely not enough. But yes, AI can be used to give this kind of elaborate feedback to the students, and they can all actually work on it. So for the earlier part where I'm talking about this thing, the case studies and this effective feedback part, I'm going to give you a few tools here. The very little number of tools that I've given here. So quiz tools could be Quizzes, Kahoot, Google Forms, and for writing you have Grammarly, ChatGPT, Socrates AI. For rubric assessment you have Google Classroom and Canvas. I'll show you Socrates AI and Canvas. I hope we have, okay, it's almost time. I'll go to the last part and show you those two, Socrates AI and Canvas, and then we'll move to the part. Okay, this is anyway talks about for what purpose which tool can be used. For quizzes we have quiz and quizzes we have this. It's the same thing here. It has been represented in the table. So what we need to question ourselves with is, how has AI changed assessment? These are reflection questions that I would like you to take with you, and how it can be automated, what should remain human, and how can AI reduce teacher workload. These are the 4 things that we need to reflect upon. And what AI tool do we need to use is something, again, we need to address. So since I have only 2 minutes, I'll take you to, you can check the references. I'll take you to the Socrates AI tool and the rubrics part also. So coming to Socrates AI, this is a tool which you can log in. The first 2 times or 3 times you can use it in your classroom with 60 to 80 students, 100 students also. It is free. But after 2 times, you have to pay and buy it and use it. So you can, usually colleges or institutions are buying it in a bulk, so it will be more easy. So what AI, Socrates AI does is, I'll show you. Yeah, this is the Socrates AI is the platform, AI assisted writing assessment. Here I'm talking about, I conducted a writing activity. So I'll show you a sample of a writing activity. Okay, not a collab or anything. So if you go to Socrates AI tool, pardon?
Hello, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam, could you-
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
Can I
noting
continue?
down the point. Could you show the previous slide?
Okay, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Could you show
I'll
the
share the
previous
PPT,
slide,
ma'am.
madam,
I'll
which
share the
is books
PPT.
and articles?
I'll share the PPT. It will be given to you all. Like this
Okay.
part. Yeah. I'll share the PPT actually. Not a problem at all. Yeah. So if you see, this is Socrates AI that I was talking about. It's an AI assisted writing assessment that I've done with immediate feedback. Here, I try to look at how students use critical thinking skills while they analyze a text. This is what I've done in my classroom. This is for 3rd-year BTech students that I've used. So I went with the option of Socrates AI write. Okay, writing activity, you go with write. Chat you can use for speaking activity, where you chat with the AI bot. Okay, so where you talk to each other. So it's a speaking activity. But I'm showing you the right option. So when you talk about right, you need to create a classroom first. You need to upload a reading comprehension text, and also tell the Socrates AI tool what you want the students to do. So when the dashboard appears, you need to create a classroom first. So I've created critical thinking skills part 2. This is my 2nd class. So I've given this class activity. And once the students log in, they'll find this activity. My classes, they'll have multiple activities if you want. So they have to click on C assignment. So you need to upload. As a teacher, you'll understand, once you go into the tool, you'll understand where to upload. If it is a writing activity, you click on that, upload text, upload questions, upload what is it, it will give you. So you need to upload everything, and then once you upload, you need to it'll appear this way to the student. And while uploading, this is what it'll ask you: topic of tutor. Okay, so read, you have to give instructions like what they need to do. So I've given, read the following scenario carefully and answer the questions below, demonstrating your critical thinking skills. Okay, and to AI, to the Socrates AI, I need to tell what am I trying to test here. So I'm telling the Socrates AI tool that I want to see focus key areas, skills, concepts of Socrates AI should make sure students learn. So it will make sure the students will get these things. Okay. So when I give the text, I'm going to pose questions. It'll ask the questions anyway. So it will check answers based on their critical thinking skills, their common sense, reasoning, identification of perspectives, evaluation of arguments. I've given a couple of them here. Clarity and organization, ethical considerations. So I'm giving two. And also I can make it too hard easy, and or you can also say for roll numbers this and this, you give it easy. So it'll change the questions that it'll generate based on the paragraph that you've given. What I gave was, as a paragraph that I gave was, when this there is this farmers. Okay, anyway, this is how they will see. Okay, so the critical thinking skills activity, class code, and assignment. You need to view. The students need to view, and they'll attempt the assignment. So what I gave was, I gave a paragraph on farmers strike impacting local markets and consumers. I gave a general thing because it was happening in the a certain state in the southern part of India. So I thought, let me bring something which is current, and I asked them to read a paragraph from the newspaper article which talks about farmers strike impacting local markets and consumers. The paragraph talks about four perspectives. One is farmers, one is local market, consumers, and a general perspective. Okay, and ask the students to analyze all the four perspectives, and they have to decide who they like to stand with. Are they with the farmers or the local markets or the consumer? And then they also asked to critically analyze the situation and predict what could be the consequence and propose suitable measures to handle it. So this is what the paragraph is about. It was a big paragraph, it could not fit here, so I just described it. Instead of reading it, I thought I can describe the paragraph. If you see student performance, they answered 4 questions, and while answering only, Socrates AI starts giving comments on the side. See, if you see the third part, when they wrote the third answer, this analysis of short term, long term consequences is insightful. However, it should be beneficial. Elaborate. If you see in suggestion, a solution, you have taken the balanced approach. So it will give you comments while writing the exam. So it won't tell the answer, but it will tell you if they are going in the right direction, if they are not going in the right direction. So it will help the student write a proper answer while taking the exam. And once the exam is over, they submit the answers. These are the comments that usually come to the learner. So it is important to establish a clear connection between your beliefs and farmer arguments. Nice job outlining consumer concerns about it. Your analysis of business owner perspective is insightful. Or to enhance clarity, consider defining the specific policy being discussed in the text. So it is giving very specific, detailed, personalized feedback on how they have read it, what they have identified, what they missed. Everything is given. So this is during performance that they get comments, and this is after. So this is only one tool that is giving them help. And because I talked about looking into their critical thinking skills, these are the comments. If I say look at their argumentative skills, or if I say look at their analysis of or something else, then the questions will change, the comments will change. So everything will change based on what is given. I think we're out of time, so I'll quickly show the rubrics one. This is the rubrics course that I've done. Sorry, this is the course I've done, professional development teacher training, trainers on Canvas. It's a platform anyway. It's an AI automated platform. You can go and enroll. So in that, if once you're done with the exam, it talks about rubrics development and how you can grade and everything. So I'll just give you a quick view of the rubrics. So this is how it has graded on a 4-point Likert scale. 5-point Likert scale. It has given me the performance level indicators, and look at the comments. So once I perform, I do this course and I upload my answers, or I answer the questions given in the Canvas platform. Once I write all my answers, once I'm done with the course, this is the kind of comments, or this is the kind of feedback I'm getting about how well I understood. So it gives me a 4, or suppose I get a 3 grade. Then it talks about how I've done in terms of content knowledge, adult learning facilitation, instructional design, how did I do, communication and presentation, how it was, everything in every 10-point scale into 5. 50 comments about how I have done this particular course and answered the questions. It's just a 2-hour course, like it's like a LinkedIn course that we do. So Canvas has this kind of feedback or rubric feedback that it gives you immediately. You can generate these feedbacks in the Canvas platform itself. You can upload the entire course or something, a small activity, and then you can give it proper instructions on generating the rubric also. Canvas has all those options. So yeah, so this is how you can actually look into making rubrics. So if we are using AI to move from giving general feedback and such personalized feedback, and also create a final result in this way, imagine not giving just A1, A2, or very good, or simply saying 80%. If this is the final evaluation sheet that I'm getting, the kind of development that I can have or improvement I can have based on the comments or based on the feedback is going to be really immense. So that's what I have for today in this 1 hour. I hope I could make sense. I could bring your attention towards using AI in assessment, making it more personalized, making it more continuous, and also making it formative in nature so that learners benefit from assessment, and assessment is no more off and for, it is becoming completely as learning. Assessment as learning is the only goal that I'm trying to focus on or take you towards understanding it as. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Should I stop sharing?
Uh, well, ma'am, maybe we'll just look into any questions also. Anyway,
Yes.
it was a
Okay.
really
I'll leave the
wonderful
video then. Okay.
knowledge sharing session on automated assessment tools. I truly appreciate your valuable and practical insights on it. I just have one or two questions, not much. One is from Miss Dharani. She's asking, is it free tool or a paid one? She was asking about
The Socrates.
Socrates.ai.
I've used it two times in one classroom. It was free, and then another classroom I tried. It was only one time came free. The third time, the fourth time was not free. But for the students also, they can use it 2 to 3 times, and then it'll close. So if you want in the entire semester, maybe you can use it for 3 activities and then close it. But if you can convince your institution to buy the tool, then you will have access for it like forever. Like you have a bigger access for it also. But free is only once or twice so that we understand it. Once we understand and students are adapting to it, they understand the activity, they do it properly, then maybe you have to buy into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Madam has
Hello.
answered your question, Ms.
Madam.
Dharani. And now there's another question from the YouTube live channel. This is from Shri. Madam, aren't we falling into the loop of collecting only the assessments instead of real application levels? This is a question. Do you want me to
Can you
repeat?
repeat, ma'am? Are we?
Yeah. Aren't we falling into the loop of collecting only the assessments instead of real application levels?
Yes, ma'am. I think I would agree and disagree with it. If it's not falling into the loop, it is empowering ourselves with AI. So instead of completely relying on AI, if we customize it according to our learners and also understand the level of the learners and design these AI tools or decide on these AI tools, we cannot completely blindly focus on them. Definitely falling into the loop is in our hands. If we overdo it or we kind of relied on completely relying on it, definitely we are going to fall into the loop. But yes, are we moving away from what is required? No, definitely using such tools to be more effective in the classroom, be more impactful in terms of learning outcomes, getting our learning outcomes or teaching goals are met. If we design it in such a way, cleverly select such tools, make sure it is used in a very moderate or larger scale also, if students are interested, it'll definitely depend on students and how you use it, how you select it. And without falling into the loop, definitely look into how you can control it also. There was a slide where I talked about what it can do, but again, teacher needs to pitch in at every level. Even things like emotion, creativity, critical thinking, these can't be completely assessed by the AI tool. So you have to understand the learner at a base level and then use the AI tools and then consider that assessment as authentic. That's it.
That was really wonderful answering the question. And here, more than questions, there's a lot of appreciation
Oh,
coming
thank
from
you.
the audience. Many of them were like just appreciating. One comment is from Ms. Gomati. English teachers aspire to improve the quality of students. At present, we rush towards technology to support them. Hats off to you. So I think
Thank you
most
so
of these
much.
comments are very, very positive comments,
Thank you.
and we really enjoyed your session.
Thank
So
you.
I don't see any more questions. So
Yes,
uh,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
let's propose the
Side,
vote of
Shafisa
thanks.
madam has read the answer.
hello, madam. I have
Yes.
a doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
One,
Yes,
one, one small request before you pose the question. I request all the audience to please, on their cameras so that we can take a group photograph.
oh,
I
that's so
request
nice.
all the
Do more than
participants,
100
please.
participants, it's going to be nice.
Like whatever, we can just move the screen and take more
Definitely.
pictures of it. I request all the participants, please. Shafi, can you please coordinate? Yes, I think the lady who was asking the question can quickly
Yeah, please
ask
continue.
the question. Hello.
Someone was
Yes,
asking a
ma'am.
question.
I
Please.
have
Yeah.
a doubt.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
first of all, I would like to be. Yes, ma'am. Am I audible? Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, now you are. Now you are.
I'm Nafiza from KL University. I'm Syed
Okay.
Nafiza, soft skills trainer from KL University, sir. Madam, my job is mainly focusing the students to clear their placements. As we are English teachers, so there are a few companies are asking communication assessment round. So in that process, so I need to improve my students their listening skills. So are there any websites can speak and improve
There is
so
Paul,
if it
Lingua Paul. There is Lingua Paul, ma'am. There is Speak and Improve. In fact, my scholar is working in the same area and speaking improvement using AI tools. For especially for CRT for campus placement, please go to Perplexity. Perplexity, you can ask for listening activities, speaking activities. You can actually give the placement details, like you can say Infosys coming so and so, the HR round is going to be on this so and so topic. Please ask me questions and please help me do the HR round. It'll automatically look at also give the job description. It is for a software engineering. Then automatically the questions will come in such a way that they are focused on the CRT part of it, and all that particular training that is required is done. Well, I have used Perplexity through my scholar only. I've used it in my classroom, and it's part of our CRT program now. I think since you are also from a different KL branch, you have CRT there as well. Use Perplexity for that. It is really good now for listening and speaking also in the interview part to clarify the interview questions and improve their interview skills. That is a really good one.
Okay, I think as we are running out of time, I
Ma'am,
think we
I'm
can
sorry, it extended 10
call
minutes.
it a day. Uh, yeah, I request once again all the participants to please turn on their cameras so that we can take some group photographs. Shafi, are you there?
give
I
the
want
Yes, madam.
audio.
Can you take some group photographs?
Taking, madam.
I once again request everyone to please turn on their cameras so that we can take some group photographs. Shafi, once you're done, I can propose the vote of thanks.
Wait, madam. Taking.
Yes, yes. While Shafi is taking the photographs, I'm just
Yeah.
still looking at the comments that are dropping by. Most of them are very, very positive and, noting that it is very interesting session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks a
I
lot, ma'am.
wish it was longer because assessment is something which is huge to discuss. First with the
True.
assessment, then AI assessment. We have so many tools that we can display. But within the time
Yes,
frame, I'm really sorry that I could only deliver or discuss this much, just to highlight the terms that are important or things that we need to look into when we go for AI assessment. I just brought them.
we just have one question that is from Dr. T. Ramesh Babu. Can you please mention if any AI tool is available to assess the reading skills of the students, like a
I will do
pronunciation
one
speed,
thing. Yes, ma'am.
etc.?
For AI tools, I think I'll give you this particular slide, ma'am. Give me a second.
Shafi, you can
There is,
just hint me once we are done.
yes.
Done, madam.
Done? Okay.
Yes, madam.
Once this question has been answered, then I'll propose the vote of thanks.
Uh, Can I just show this, ma'am, if there is time? There is a list of
Yes,
AI
sure.
tools, complete list of AI tools for teachers. I'll forward this also. I'll just share my screen one second for a second. I'll try to share this file with you. Maybe you can forward it to others.
Sure.
So this is, yeah. This is a list of AI tools that I have, like some for content creation, for teaching classroom activity-based tools, learning tools for the students can use, assessment tools, research tools, also top 4 tools for that we can go for. So this is a proper list of all AI tools that I have listed, and I keep going back to when I want to use AI tools. I'll try to share this with you, and maybe you can forward it to the participants completely.
Thank you so much,
So
ma'am.
even prompts are given here. So suppose if I'm doing a activity, so you can use these prompts. Suppose it's a grammar activity that you're designing. Provide 15 examples demonstrating grammar rule and so and so, and then prompt for phrasing, paraphrasing. So you can. I'll share this file with you. I've used it for another session somewhere else. So in that case, you can share it with the participants if you want.
Sure.
Since someone asked for reading, others will have for writing, other classroom activities, for assessment, many will pop up. So maybe I'll share
That's
that tool
very
with you.
generous
That
of
list
you
with you.
to
You can
share
forward the list.
so much of information.
Yeah, and around 50 tools are there for each activity, each of them, each of the skills. You can get that.
Okay, now moving on to the vote of thanks. My heartfelt thanks to Dr. Kranthi Priya ma'am for engaging an informative knowledge sharing session on automated assessment tools. I truly appreciate your valuable and practical insights. I, Sridevi, on behalf of the organizing committee, extend a heartfelt gratitude to Dr. O. Krantipriya for the inspiring, insightful, and thought provoking session. Your perspectives on automated assessment tools and practices in English language teaching have provided us with valuable ideas that will undoubtedly enrich our teaching practices. We sincerely appreciate the time, expertise, and practical insights you have shared with us. I also thank all the participants for their enthusiastic presence, active engagement, and meaningful interactions throughout the 4-day faculty development program. Your commitment to continuous learning and professional growth has made this program truly successful. As we conclude, the FDP may the knowledge, ideas, and experiences gained over these 4 days inspire all of us to embrace innovation, adapt to emerging technologies, and continue reimagining English language teaching for the learners of tomorrow. Thank you once again, Dr. Priya, and thanks to each one of you for being a part of this wonderful journey. Wishing you everyone continued success and many more opportunities to learning and collaborating. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Thank you
you
so
so much
much.
for this lovely opportunity. And I thank your HOD, ma'am, Priya, ma'am, also. And thank you, participants. Fazia, ma'am, I can see you again. Thank you for being here. And also, I'll try to send the PPT and the list. It will be helpful for you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kranti Priya
Thank
ma'am. Thank you, all the
Thank you.
participants.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So, signing off for today, and let us meet again tomorrow.
Feedback link is shared in the chat box of both YouTube as well as in the Zoom chat box. Please fill it. The room will be live for next 2 minutes.
Can I log off, ma'am? Can I go?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much once
Thanks a
again.
lot. Thank you.
Thanks. I will.
Madam, shall I stop live streaming on YouTube?
Yes, Shafi, we can stop it.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, can I exit?
Yes, Master Devi, you can.
Okay. Thank you.